All right, I'm just making a quick video to go over the exercises we went through the other week. There were basically 5 positions that we were using, and I just kind of want to review this so that things are a little bit more packaged in a little bit more of a usable way, and that I can get all the cueing in. And just keep in mind, I know a lot of these things are right and left, using one leg and then the next. If you want to keep things balanced, I would recommend starting with your bad leg, I believe it was the left side, going to the left hip, then go to the right, and then finish with the left if you want to start to really work your way through that. You may find that works for you, or maybe not. You can always just do left and right. But otherwise, just to try to keep things relatively even, and so you're emphasizing the work that you're doing on the side that's giving you the trouble. Start with the troubled side, go back to the normal leg, and end with the other side. So anyway, I'm going to start this on my side then. And so these are going to be the sideways leg lifts. So this is with an ankle weight. And keep in mind, if you decide that the ankle weight is just too much, you can always just do this basically with the legs free of any external weight. So just scale things out and see how far things go. So from here, I'm going to bring myself on my side. And there are a few different movements that we took. Now, when you're doing this, so you want to stay on your outer hip, roll this forward, and roll forward onto your hands so you're not fighting balance here. And the top leg, keep it dead straight and reach with the toe first. Curl the toes, keep the foot pointed like you're wearing a high-heeled shoe. So as you're leaning forward from here, first we're just going to lift up. So bring it up high as you can, and then bring the leg down. Keep the motion controlled. Bring it up high as you can, and then bring the leg back down. Again, bring the leg up high as you can, and you try not to point your toes to the ceiling. Come back down. Bring the leg up again, high as you can, and then bring it back down. I'm going to do it one more time for 5 here, and then come back down and just rest for a moment. And you can pace this however you like. Take slow reps. Maybe 5 reps is enough. Maybe do 2 or 3 sets of 5, but just work this as best you can. Now, same thing with the leg lifted and still leaning forward. I'm going to reach to the foot, again with the foot active like I'm wearing a high-heeled shoe. Lift, and I just want you to circle. You're just drawing little circles here. And you can always lean into that front hand. And the circling, think of taking about 15 seconds to 30 seconds each time. You can always break things into fragments, do like an accumulated 30 seconds. I'm going to bring the leg down. And that is a lot. And there's one more thing on the side here. So again, leaning forward to that base hand, lift the back leg, or lift the top leg, I should say. And then just start with the legs in line. With the legs straight, bring the heel back as far as you can. Then come back in. Bring the heel back, and come back in. Bring the heel back, come back in. Bring the heel back, come back in. I'm going to do it one more time. So I've got the heel back, and from here I'm going to pulse it, keeping the leg straight and moving the heel. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then back into center. All right, next on the list is basically going into external rotation of the hip. And initially, and here I'm going to use this chair for support, you're just working the external rotation. The leg can be weighted or maybe not. Just take it to where you can. You're going to feel this in the outer hip, by the way. This is a tough move to do. And basically, with external rotation, you're letting your knee go to the side and bring your foot up through center. And here again, it's the same sort of engagement with the foot. So my right foot's my base. I'm going to lift my left knee and engage the foot. Again, like you're wearing a high-heeled shoe. Curl the toes, pressure the ball mat. Bring the knee up as high as you can. Try to keep it here. And then bring the heel in towards center. And then rotate. And again, lift the heel. And again, rotate. Lift the heel. And then rotate again. Lift the heel. Rotate again. Now, I'm going to do about 5 reps here, and I recommend you just hold on to that last rep for about 15 seconds or so, and you're just using the muscles around the hip to keep that foot lifted. And again, this is hard to do. And then go ahead and release. Now, for the next thing, this is the holding the pigeon stretch, and it may just as well be easy enough to keep the ankle weight on the ankle while you're doing this. So when you're bringing this forward, and switching this from one leg to the next, the foot goes onto the support, so you're not going to do this on the floor necessarily here, but you want to find that external rotation. Square your hips toward the chair, couch, whatever you're putting the foot on top of, and go ahead and bring your hands forward. And keep in mind, your foot is coming, basically, my left foot is going over to my right side, and my left knee is staying to the left. Now here again, you want to keep the foot engaged, and the stance is whatever works for you. Maybe you're closer, maybe you're further back. The further back you go, the deeper you go until you're able to release toward the keep that foot engaged. And again, you can just move around. You can take it forward and back. You can move side to side a little bit here. And then ultimately, you're just going to hold onto the stretch. So let your hips come forward, keep your hips squared. Maybe sink down. You can always bend in your back knees. A bunch of ways to do this. But keep the hips pressed forward. Try to stay upright. And keep the engagement to that front leg. And just keep on pressing the toes. And I believe I recommended before taking this for about 1 minute to 2 minutes. And you're supported here. It shouldn't be too bad. You can always back off from the pressure. You can always put more weight to the hands and come in and out of this. If you need to back it up or break it down into smaller increments, you certainly can. All right, I'm going to go ahead and release this. All right, the next thing is reverse tabletop, and this is with the leg march. And what I recommend first is not worry about holding and lifting the legs right away, but just lifting and lowering to get used to the motion, and then holding at the last repetition. And then you come up again, and then from then you'll lift one leg at a time. So from here, feet in front of you about hips width distance apart, hands behind the shoulders about shoulder width. Now, if you can, rotate your fingers forward. That's a lot on the wrist. You can always rotate the fingers to the sides. But either way, pressing your hands and feet, lift your seat. And we'll just take this up and down 5 slow reps. So with an inhale, press your hips up high. Exhale, sink down. Inhale, lift your hips. Exhale, lower. Inhale, press up high. Exhale, come down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Now at the next inhale, lift and hold here. So pressing your hands, lift your chest. That's going to stretch your shoulders quite a bit. But as your feet press down, squeeze your glutes and keep your hips pressing up. And you want everything between the shoulders and knees moving toward parallel with the floor. You can look at the ceiling, you can hang your head back, you can look forward, just don't drop your hips. Keep the glutes engaged. And then go ahead and bring it down. And I recommend that last hold to be roughly 15 to 30 seconds from here. Now we're going to take it up one more time, and from this we're going to bring the legs in. I'm just going to take 3 rounds of bringing my knees to my chest. And you can do this for multiple rounds, come back and forth. If the movement is falling apart, come down and take a little bit of a break. And if you want to get more repetitions in, go ahead and do it then. But give yourself the breather that you need, so these aren't just, you're not just putting in reps to put in reps. So again, hand the shoulders about shoulder width, fingertips forward or to the sides. Press into your feet, lift your hips, and stay lifted here. Now I'm just going to look forward while I do this, but you got to keep the hips lifted. So right knee pulls in, right foot down, left knee in. Left foot down. Try to keep your glutes engaged. Right knee comes in. Right knee down. Left knee in. And then left foot down. Right knee in one more time. Right foot down. Left knee one more time. Left foot down. And then go ahead and bring it back down. And you can always take a static hold with one knee in if you like, and you can always take that for multiple sets. But keep the movement under control, and again, keep the lift when you're doing that. All right, the next segment here is with that deep lunge and blocks to support this. And after a while, if your hip flexors really start to open up and you're able to deepen this further, you may not need the blocks. But start out with this. So blocks are going to be about shoulder width, and just support your hands so you can keep your torso more upright. My left foot's forward, my right foot's back. And you start this from a basic kneeling motion. When you need to warm up, just take things back and forth. And we're moving back and forth to sink deeper into this. What you want to do is start kicking to the floor, engage your glutes, press the hips forward. And bring your torso toward upright. And I recommend taking a couple sets of this. And probably the first one won't be all that deep. And it's just going to be about engaging the back leg and the hip flexor there. So I'm going to stay relatively folded here and just keep my hands on the blocks. Lean my weight to the front foot, kick into the back. And as I kick down, I'm just going to lift the knee and then lower. 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 And then lift the knee, just hold, and lower. And you should be feeling that moving through the thigh and through the front of the pelvis. Now to take this even deeper, this time, after this is loosened up, and I recommend taking it from one leg to the next and going back and forth, sink down, open up your chest as much as you can. If you can, go ahead and stand the fingertips. Kick into that back foot, and then again, take this slow. Lift the back knee, and then lower. Lift the knee, and then lower. Lift the knee, lower again. Lift the knee, lower again. Lift one more time. I recommend holding that last rep a little bit longer. And then go ahead and bring it down. And you can always take that one deeper as well, but this is a good way to start this out. All right, this last part is about the side-to-side movement here. And this is basically, I would call this a horse stance you'd hear in a yoga class or a martial arts class. So basically, feet are going to be wider than the hips. You want to come into a position where you're bending the knees. The lower you can go, the better. Trying to get the hips toward the level of the knees. Now, you're going to have a strap here, and this is for your arms. So basically, straight arms, grab the strap. You're going to rotate so that the thumbs go forward and just pull out to the sides. And this is going to help keep the upper body engaged. So once you've got that strap, go ahead, just rotate the thumbs forward, pull out, open up your chest, sink into the hips. And we're just going to take this side to side from here. So I'm going to bring this over to the right side, belly to thigh. And back into center, over to the left side. And back to center. Now, as you're taking this back and forth, just feeling this out, in between, you can always come up and straighten your legs if you like, but deepen that bend into the knee that you're leaning toward here. Okay, and feel this out. Now, keep your core engaged. And this isn't really about straightening the legs so much, but bring your belly down to touch your thighs, keep your spine long. And then as you're able to take it deeper, you can really start to sink into the leg that you're leaning into. And maybe just hold here. Now, if you can take it further, you can always slide this out, come down even further still, maybe start to sink inside the thigh of the leg that you're leaning into. And then just bring it up when you're ready. This is however you need to, because this is going to be a lot, so just feel this out. Take it back and forth. And last, again, keep your chest open and try to keep your hips nice and low.